Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You get divorced. You get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello. Welcome back to Divorce Happens, the podcast where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, a little bit of laughter, because as we know, divorce happens and then you start fresh. And we're here with one of our amazing Fresh Starts experts with a very important topic today. Sue, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. My name is Sue May, and I am a menopause coach. I've been in this industry since 2005, so almost 20 years now. I've been health coaching before people really knew what that was at all. And I've gone through sort of different iterations of coaching with my own practice. I was a fertility coach for a while due to my own fertility journey. Moved over to the menopause space, did another certification in specifically menopause and menopause coaching, again, due to my own struggles with menopause and difficulty and finding out any real information. So I was really just wanting to find out for myself, and that turned into another piece of my career, which I really loved supporting women through menopause with support, with everything from mindset work to nutrition, to because it is such a life transition that can really change the way we look at ourselves. So we really look at the whole person. And I love this topic for a few reasons. I think, one of the things I thought about when you first asked me to do this was, well, I can't really speak on this because I don't have personal experience with it. But at the same time, the more I thought about this really deeply, it came to me how much these different topics that I deal with in my own practice have in common with divorce. So things like fertility struggles, things like menopause journeys, and divorce are all topics that in the past, we've really thought of as something that is sort of hush-hush, something that we don't talk about out in the open. But we're really moving the needle and moving the conversation forward on moving the conversation from sort of shame around it to feeling empowered and understanding that this is something that is common, period. It's not something, I was going to say unfortunately, but fortunately for some women, unfortunately for others, but it just is. These are common things that we need to bring into the light and speak about, so we can all be empowered together and really talk about these things. So I'm really excited to speak about divorce, menopause. They're both life transitions that can really change our sense of self. And that is why they have so much in common and so much intersection. And so, I'm really excited to talk about this today.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, the divorce rate for first marriages hovers around 50%. And then for second marriages, it actually goes up to about 63%. And so, if you look at the timeline of a woman's life, maybe when she's going through menopause, she actually might be on her second marriage sometimes, right? By that point, if not her first marriage. And so, we are seeing this kind of phenomenon happening, right? And so it's called gray divorce, right? And so gray divorce is an older subset of women. They don't necessarily have gray hair, but that that are going through, a divorce. And we are seeing across the board that the rates for older people, I'm talking like older than 45, are going up, just in huge ways. So I would love to just pick your brain about this, Sue. What is that relationship? What is the relationship, do you think, between a woman entering menopause and deciding maybe to seek a divorce, or kind of like shifting her life in that seismic way?
So I think it's twofold. I think one piece of it is the menopause itself. So this brings about all the symptoms that we now know about because we're talking about it with menopause. So all the hormonal shifts that create issues with mood, first of all, because this is something that can bring on anxiety, depression, mood swings. There's something called, menopausal rage, and it's a real thing. It's a hormone
Hmm.
shift, and it is an actual thing. So people think like, oh, you're just this or that. No, this is actually a shift that happens in our bodies. It's fairly common. And with the mood issues, that can have a little bit of breakdown of like communication. If you're with
Yeah.
somebody that doesn't necessarily understand what you're going through, maybe it makes communication, if it was hard, it makes it even harder. So it's something that will bring these things to light. Other issues may come up like sexual intimacy.
Yep.
That can be a lot harder when you're going through menopause because, all these different things that we're going through that we don't necessarily get immediate attention for because either we feel like maybe it's us, maybe, don't understand that these things are normal. These things are, just our shifting hormones make these things more of an issue for us.
Yeah.
So the symptoms and the communication, that's one thing, the actual on that level.
Yeah.
The other thing is when we're in midlife, we tend to have this sort of, reevaluation of who we are and what our goals are. And sometimes if you are in a relationship, maybe you got married when you were younger,
Mm-hmm.
you are not necessarily the same person or want or
Yeah.
need the same things when you are in your 20s, when you're in your 30s, than when you're in your 40s, 50s, and
Right.
60s. So this is something that also comes up. We're sort of at this stage and we're asking ourselves, who am I now? Like, what do I want? Is this a relationship that still serves me? And I think what also comes up in menopause is, the average age of menopause is around 51.
Okay.
It varies. It's not the same for everyone, but that's, the average age.
Okay.
And that's the age where you are asking those questions about yourself.
Mm.
You sort of are feeling like it's okay to put yourself first now. You might have been a mother, you might have been, caring for smaller children.
Yeah.
Maybe your kids are out of the house now. Maybe you might be an empty nester and you feel like now you have this lens on this relationship that was much different when you were going through the motions of being parents. And if you were with somebody that maybe, is not communicating with you and you're realizing that maybe that's not
Yeah.
something that serves you in life, you think to yourself, well, I'm in my 50s now. Like, is this something I want for the rest of my life? Because
Yeah.
while part of it is that we are getting older and we are having these realizations, the other piece of it is you should also realize that you still have like half of your life to live. Like people are living longer,
Yeah.
people are, healthier for longer and having, more active lives. So you're not thinking this is not the end. Like this could be a new beginning. And if
Right.
you put this lens on it and you're looking at it
Yeah.
like this, who am I in relation to this partner, this relationship? So I think it's really both of those things. It's the hormonal piece, it's the symptoms piece, but it's
Yeah.
also the phase of life piece. It's the finding yourself piece. It's the, you know, they say that the 50s or whatever is the, no more F's to give stage. So
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, this is who I am now.
Mm.
What is going to work for me moving forward, and finally asking those questions. So I think both of those things really intersect at that time. And if you were in a relationship that maybe wasn't really working, but you were just sort of putting up with it,
Yeah.
you're starting to bottom line a little bit with how you feel because you like I said, you're starting to put yourself
Yeah.
first. So I think all those
Yeah.
things come into play here.
I love all of that. It's so true. It's so fascinating. What about the element of women talking to other women? Right? So of like, with especially I feel like we're talking about menopause so much more than we ever talked about menopause before. And like you said at the start of the show, we're also talking about divorce in a similar manner. What do you find? Do you find that women are openly talking about menopause with each other more, and then maybe they're also talking about other things that are happening in their home more? Is that something you're finding?
Yes, actually. And I know at least with, friends of mine and women that I serve, I think that more than ever, we understand the value of community and how important community is. And that, even when personally I've done, I do one-on-one and I also do group coaching. And whenever I've done a group, I think that the learning that comes from each other and in terms of listening to other people who are going through the same things and understanding, oh,
Yeah.
I'm not alone. It's even more powerful than when I work with somebody one on one.
Yeah.
To really everyone shares and everyone, is kind of lifted up by the group. So I feel like that is happening more and more, definitely with menopause. And with, people like you, I think that things like divorce too, we're talking about understanding that it's the right choice for some women, and it doesn't mean anything was necessarily, it could have been a good relationship and then it ended. It doesn't mean,
Yeah.
it's bad.
Totally.
It could be something that
Right.
is a good thing kind of moving forward. So having these conversations and,
Yeah.
knowing who you can talk to, I think sometimes that's
Mm,
you have to feel it out a little bit. Like maybe somebody doesn't necessarily want to talk about,
right.
divorce or menopause. But you kind of get that sense if you're just,
Yeah.
meeting someone. But in these groups,
Yeah.
definitely it's so amazing to see.
Do you think that there's a relationship between the relationship that women have with their bodies during menopause and the reevaluation of that relationship, and then a reevaluation of their marriage at the same time?
Yes. I think that's another conversation that's becoming a little bit more we're talking about because
Mhm.
our bodies shift and change during menopause. I mean, yes, there are things to a degree that you can do about it, but you could also take the time to understand it and just sort of love it as it is. And,
Yeah.
just, and I think that's so important because as women, we are sort of meant, taught that this is, our shifting bodies are not, beautiful anymore,
Yeah.
or, how it's the whole thing with kind of, the whole anti-aging movement. It's like,
Yep. Yep.
I like to flip that to kind of pro-aging
Yeah.
because it's we're all gonna age. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like you cannot avoid, and we're
No.
lucky if we do
Yeah.
because some
Exactly.
people don't get that chance.
Exactly.
So I think that thinking about our bodies and that might change the relationship you have with your partner too. It changes the
Yeah.
relationship you have with yourself. And that's also something to work on in,
Yeah.
either coaching, if it's not someone like me, it could be your therapist or,
Yep.
your group or whoever it is you go
Yep.
to
Yep.
for support to kind of understand how you're seeing yourself, how much that matters, and because how you see yourself is also how you talk to yourself.
Yes.
So if
Yeah.
we are not talking to ourselves in a kind way, we can't move forward with anything really because,
Yeah.
that's so incredibly important. So,
Yeah.
um,
So true. It's so
yeah, I
true.
think that's so important. And so, that's really insightful. Yeah.
So how do you work with people, Sue? What do you do with your clients?
So I work with women and I mainly work with midlife women. I still do actually some fertility coaching as well now because it's just a part of me that will always be a part of me. But in the menopause space, my practice is called Midlife Evolved. And I work with women both, as I said, one on one. So we do a full intake, like a health history, and I really work from what the woman needs. So
Right.
is this something do we wanna talk about, nutrition, mindset? Do we wanna work on exercise? And a coach really is somebody that is your partner, somebody that helps you make behavior changes and
Yep.
supports you through that. And I think that's important to point out because, you know, even though we have other skill sets, this is really truly a partnership. We want you to want to make the goals. You don't want to be doing them for anybody else but yourself. So it has to
Right.
come from inside.
Yep.
I've worked with groups before, community support groups, menopause. In the future, I have some things in the works right now, that would involve both activity and support. So
Love
like,
it.
rucking's really popular now, like walking with a weighted vest. So,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
weighted vests, walking in the park group is coming soon.
Love it.
Uh, and yeah, I really meet the woman where she is. So whatever that is, whatever she needs. I also do a lot of education around hormone replacement
Mhm.
therapy.
Okay.
Because one thing that's happening right now in the menopause space is there's almost there's so much information that it's getting really confusing.
Yes.
Because, this sort of expert on Instagram is saying you must do hormones.
Yeah,
This expert is saying you must not. And it's very difficult to sift through that.
it is.
So what
It
I
is.
do as a sort of somebody that has studied all of these things, I'm going to give you that balanced view so we can
Yep.
kind of go through it step by step. And of
Yep.
course, you would also see your doctor, but just
Yep.
to truly understand, okay, what is best for me? Is this
Yep.
something that I should be doing for myself? So we talk about that a lot too.
Yep.
Um, yeah, but I
Amazing.
really love what I do. I think that supporting women, women's health, they're just things that I am incredibly passionate about. So I'm really
Yeah, we love that.
excited. Yeah.
No, we love that. We love that. And, menopause is still like the mystery land. And so if you are listening to this and you're like, whether you're getting divorced or not getting divorced, go, work with Sue and get a little bit of that support because you don't have to go through menopause by yourself. And we appreciate Sue and everything she does. Um, Before we let you go, if somebody's listening to this, Sue, and they're going through a divorce, what would be some words of encouragement that you could leave them with?
Um, I think that what's really important to remember, and this is going to sound, cliche or cheesy or whatever, but I don't care. I am a little cheesy
That's okay.
sometimes.
We all
But
are.
is that you have to remember to love yourself through it because
Hmm.
you you're going to be you can get support from all different places, but
Yeah.
you really have to be able to look yourself in the mirror and love yourself and understand that you can listen to that voice in your head that is telling you to do this and that it may very well be the very best decision for you and the
Yeah.
start of the best part of your life.
Yeah.
So not to think of it as something that is, I mean, yes, it's not, I'm sure it's not pleasant. I understand that. But at the same time, like
Yep.
what's on the other side of it, keep
Yeah.
your sights on that.
Yep.
And that is the thing that should be able to carry you through.
I love that so much. Well, you can find all about Sue and you can get in touch with her, of course, over at Fresh Starts in the Expert Guide. And Sue, we're so happy that you're part of our community because menopause is a fresh start and it is a huge life transition. And I just appreciate you taking the time to chat today.
Thank you so much.
Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.